What's up, everybody? You're back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got Hulk, Coach, Austin. I think that's how they're sitting right now for you guys.
Yeah,
we appreciate y'all stopping in for the final Pro Football Pod mock draft of the year. We've got the draft coming up tomorrow night. Hit subscribe down below so that way when we go live during draft time, you get that notification. Join us, hang out. Let's vent about the picks. Let's celebrate some picks. Let's have a good time. Boys, Harlow in the background, always giving the shout outs. We appreciate you, babe. We're just going to go ahead and dive right into it. We decided what we're going to do is we're not going to alternate picks. We're going to kind of agree on the picks here, what makes sense. This is going to be what we would do. We're not going to do a predictive mock because it's a crapshoot. Even the best predictors out here are getting 35% accuracy. Peter Schrager is dominant at mock drafts, but I digress. Number one, Tennessee Titans on the clock. I think we all knew who this pick's going to be. There's no discussion that needs to be had.
Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly. No, so Cam Ward is probably the least talked about number one overall pick I've seen in the last 10 years. I think Eric Fisher, when he went number one overall, was talked more than Cam Ward has been. Because to me, it's one of those to where it's like, yeah, he's the first pick. The Titans need a quarterback. He's by far the best quarterback in the draft. That it makes the most sense. We don't need to talk about it.
I think the best way to describe him, I know it's basketball, but Luka, the way he slows down the game, that's how this man plays.
No, I think that's a really good comparison.
It's gonna do great.
I know early on in the draft season, we were saying that they were going to take a generational prospect and they were probably going to go with Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. But the more and more, it looks like they need a Cam Ward. They need someone right now.
They need a QB.
They really haven't talked good things about Will Levis, and they have a new regime in. So Cam Ward, easy pick.
Easy peasy. To me, this second pick is kind of easy, especially with Myles Garrett coming back. I think it's Travis Hunter. Because they have the need at wide receiver and they need the depth at corner.
Yep. And they
need an electric player on their team to just sell tickets.
Yeah, for them to go for like an Ashton or a Tet or anything like that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Travis Hunter's the best prospect
Ashton
in the draft.
Be great. I wouldn't be surprised if they took Ashton or Tet.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked.
I'd be shocked if they took anybody other than Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. And to me, pairing him with Myles Garrett would be awesome.
Yeah,
but outside of Jerry Jeudy, you need help at wide receiver.
And with the depth that we have on the defensive line in this draft, it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend the capital on Abdul Carter when you can get someone in the second round, especially at the top of the second round. So Travis Hunter,
Mike Green.
Yeah, so if you pass on Abdul Carter here, then the Browns are looking at the possibility with their next pick of, I would say, Landon Jackson, Princely, Uman Mielen, JT Tuimoloau, Jared Ivey. There's plenty of edge guys here for him. That's
even Nick Scourton might be there. Shamar Stewart could potentially be there. Micah Williams will probably be drafted, but we're getting into this. Landon Jackson's definitely going to be there. Princely from Ole Miss, he's going to be there as well. So it just makes the most sense. He helps them in two areas of need. He doesn't have to start in both for him to be impactful in both.
No, and when you look at their team needs, when it says wide receiver, corner, all right, I'm going to take somebody that can cover two of those positions.
Yep. Now, Giants are on the clock. A lot of people have them taking quarterback here, but that's become very unpopular. I honestly don't think that they do.
I don't either.
They're also not going to take Ashton
or
Tet. They don't really need an Ashton Genty. You're talking about the third overall pick. Taking Ezekiel Elliott at 4 was crazy. And still to this day, he was an amazing guy. Had his best year his rookie season. But taking a running back this early, it has to be the only hole you have to fill. Like the only thing. If we only need a running back, then let's take a running back early. But if we have a bunch of things that we need to do, we can't just spend this third overall pick capital on that.
And for me, with the Giants, the way I see it is this could be a trade back scenario.
Agreed.
Like, I think they'd be 100% fully okay with taking Abdul Carter. And if they do, I think you look for Kayvon Thibodeaux to hit the trade block.
Okay.
However, I think Abdul Carter is somebody that teams like the Bears, the Panthers, the 49ers, I think you could see one of those teams try to come up to number 3 to be able to snatch Abdul Carter and just change their defense.
Now, in this mock, they do have San Fran trying to move up from 11, which would put the Giants in a really great position. They're going to get multiple first-round picks. They're going to get a lot of picks in this draft as well.
Yeah, if you're moving up from – okay, so let me look at this on mine too. So if you're moving up and you're going back to 11, obviously you're getting 11. They're going to get 3. Then I still think I would say pick 75, and it would be their first rounder for next year.
Yeah, honestly, you could go even with 43.
Very well. No, 43 would get accepted, and to me, going from 11 to 3, that is probably the actual draft value.
Yeah.
Without having the chart pulled up here for the Jimmy Johnson trade value chart. To me, 11, 43, and then a round 1 next year. And I wouldn't be shocked if some other kicker was having to be thrown in there as well. However, you're not coming up for a quarterback, and you always do pay the premium for that.
Now,
so
the
if
49ers
y'all are down with it,
have a really bad history of trading up to 3, at least in recent history. But I do think that that's the move. I think that that's enough of a trade back. The Jets could potentially trade up that spot, but I think that Aaron is going to have a lot more of like, let me just try to create some chemistry within my team instead of like spending a bunch of capital. He's got 3 or 4 years, Aaron Glenn does, before he's going to have to. Austin.
Harlow.
Thank you, buddy. So yeah, I think that we make the trade.
All right, boom. So we're offering the trade up. San Fran is now moved up to number 3, and we're going to take Abdul Carter for the San Francisco 49ers.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's
and I mean,
scary.
That and Nick Bosa, like Joey Bosa was talked about going there. Nick Bosa going having Abdul Carter on the other side, that's terrifying.
And they do giving up your second round pick. Niners fans are going to come at us. Why does this make sense? You're not able to get an offensive lineman in the second round. Abdul Carter is a game changer, and with the amount of pieces that you lost on that defense this year,
yeah,
you need a dude for that defense. And to me, you're giving Robert Saleh back in San Francisco. He's getting to work with Bosa and Abdul Carter. Like, to me, like, you can be mad at it, but whenever he has 8 sacks by week 11, like, come back and talk to me.
Like, you have to look at what you would have potentially had at 11, and, like, maybe Mike Green's still there. But, like, besides that, you missed out on the top edge rushers in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that getting your guy, the best edge rusher in the draft this early, that's the necessity.
Yeah, and trades are always going to cause contention in the chat. And,
yeah,
it's not like the Niners have an abundance of picks. I actually do think they have the most picks out of anybody else.
They do. They have 11.
So that's why another reason I see them trying to trade up for, like I said, a game-changing type of player.
Now, going to
Patriots, number 4.
A lot of people have him taking Tet. I don't think Tet goes in the top 10. I think he's closer to like 15 before these wide receivers start to really go off the board. Just because of how many other positions are so deep and like people are going to want to get in. I think Will Campbell makes a lot of sense here. What are you guys thinking?
Will Campbell,
you think
if we're
T-Rex,
making the pick,
Will Campbell?
If we're making the pick, I think it is Will Campbell because he allows you flexibility to put him at guard or try him at tackle. Now, everybody projects him to be more of a guard in the league, but he was a very, very serviceable left
and Austin
tackle, obviously.
From his from the combine till his pro day, his arms grew. Like legitimately grew.
Yeah, he gained a whole inch on his arms. No, with Will Campbell, I go back to the quote that he said in a press conference, and I absolutely loved it. Is, you know, he was like, defensive players can be put on their face all day long, but if they get to the quarterback just one time, they'll get paid millions. If I allow one sack a game, I find a new job.
Yep.
And I just love that quote from now.
And he gave up 4 sacks in his entire career. Like,
and I'm not like we talked about it pre-show, and I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here. I think the Patriots would also be a trade back candidate for some team trying to jump Vegas and the Jaguars for Ashton Gianti.
Yep.
Or whether it's Vegas trying to just come up a couple spots to guarantee that they get Gianti.
Which could be Chicago. That is
in today's NFL, it's very hard for me to see somebody trade up in the top 5 for a running back,
especially in this draft class. This running back draft class, like
that. So I think Will Campbell just sit and make the pick. I think you just get a bully on the offensive line, make sure offensive line flexible, get the best 5 out there.
Now, I've heard the Jacksonville Jaguars saying that they don't like Mason Graham for whatever reason. I think that's...
He's starting to fall a little bit.
I think that's pre-draft buzz. That's just like the misinformation going out there, hoping that they don't get jumped a pick or 2 early or somebody trade up to 4 to get Mason Graham. I still think that's the best player that they could possibly grab. I definitely would rather have him over Kenneth Banks. And Grant, and Walter Nolan, good prospect, not quite the same caliber player.
I will say one thing I didn't know about Walter Nolan, and I don't know how I didn't know this, but he was the number 1 player in his recruiting class. Do you know who number 2 was?
Who?
Travis Hunter.
Nice.
So Walter Nolan coming out was the number 1 player, and most of his draft stock taking a hit, and we've seen it as we've done these mock drafts over the last few weeks. He's been climbing on the board. That's because a lot of his falling was due to character concerns. And we saw the same thing happen with guys like Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter fell down to the Eagles. They were able to snatch him up, and he's pretty much been the best defensive tackle in the league since he's entered.
Yeah.
So the character concerns for me with a guy like that to me, I'd be cool with either him or Mason Graham. I think Walter Nolan going as the first DT would be, shocking. Yeah. But if I'm just comparing the players in the tape, I like Walter Nolan much more than I do Mason Graham, just because of the versatility he gives you as well.
I know what I'm going to get whenever I ask this question, but Austin, what do you think?
Mason Graham's a dog.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're going to see how much the bias comes into play with that.
Might as well be from Georgia.
I mean, I also do really respect the fact that he's a wrestler, that he's got this level of power and strength to him. That that's why I like his game so much. I think that for how much they need the interior, adding a guy.
I also think this is a sneaky spot for Tyler Warren.
For who?
Tyler Warren.
Okay. I see that. I would see it as a trade back. If they trade back to 8, potentially.
Well, see, the reason I say that is because the Jets have been rumored and very well could use Tyler Warren. The Saints are a potential fit for Tyler Warren. The Bears are a potential fit for Tyler Warren.
Who's the Jets quarterback?
You go down back down to the Giants at 11. Jets, Fields.
That's right.
So, to me, that's where I could see if they wanted him, you would just have to take him here.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I want Walter Nolan. Austin said Mason Graham. You said Mason Graham. Majority rules. We move on. Is it GNT here for Vegas at 6?
I don't think that they're just a running back away, but I think that it's definitely a huge need for them. He's a huge playmaker, and he can make a big difference.
I think it's gotten to the
them.
point to where if he's not the pick, if he's there at 6 and they don't take him, I think it's gotten to the point to where that's going to be more shocking than if they were to take him at 6.
Yeah. I think that he's definitely worth it at this point for them. I mean, the career that he had.
And we saw how much Pete Carroll loved his offense when he had Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah. So I think that that they have a new running back in Ashton Jeanty.
Yep, I like it.
Bang.
All right, Jets on the board.
To me, I'm between two guys right here for the Jets.
Okay.
I go back to Walter Nolan, put him next to Quinnen Williams. That is awesome for them.
Yep.
Or Armand Membu. Just go ahead and shore up your offensive line with the young players that you already have on there with Olu Fashanu from last year and Elijah Vera Tucker. He's only been in the league a few years. So to me, shore up that O-line with Armand Membu, or you help out your defense with Walter Nolan. Now, Aaron Glenn might lean towards the defensive side of the ball. But when I look at the defensive players that are there for you later versus, okay, I want an offensive tackle that can start for me day one, that's where I lean Membu.
What do you think, Austin?
No, I agree with Membu. That's an absolute animal right there.
I want to go Nolan because of Aaron Glenn, but like you said, you're going to be able to get a defensive interior and an
really
edge.
Can't go wrong with
second
this
and third round, whereas these tackles fall off heavy.
You get like the same caliber player at each position.
Yeah. So I think Membu makes more sense just for
the Jets,
later in the
they're
draft.
in line for Norman Law out of Tennessee, Tyleek Williams, Derek Harmon, Darius Alexander, TJ Sanders, CJ West. We love Alfred Collins. So, yeah, they can get somebody down there. Membu, there's going to be a drop-off after Kelvin Banks.
Now, Panthers just paid defensive back this past year. Was it J.C. Horn?
Yep.
Made him pretty highly paid. What do their safeties look like? Do they have a decent need? Because I would love a Malachi Starks or Jahdae Barron, but I'm leaning more Malachi Starks.
To me, I think that for this pick right here, I don't think they're looking anywhere else outside of pass rusher.
Really?
Yeah.
So Mike Green or Jihad Campbell, Donovan Ezeraku.
Jihad Campbell would make a lot of sense because I do think they have the need at linebacker as well. Their linebackers right now are Josie Jewell and Trevin Wallace. Now, Trevin Wallace was a rookie last year. They took him in the 3rd round out of Kentucky. Josie Jewell, he's been in the league now about 7. He's going into year 8. He was a 4th round selection, but they did just sign him the year before last. To me, though, Jihad Campbell would cross off 2 boxes for you at linebacker and as a pass rusher. If not, I think it would have to be Mike Green.
I'd rather see Mike Green get a pure edge type of guy. I mean, he's got the athleticism. He's going to be an absolute stud, and he really should not be making it out of the top 10.
No, I'm with you. So, yeah, it's either Mike Green or Jihad Campbell. Austin, which one do you lean?
Mike Green.
Mike Green? All right.
You said he should be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, just looking at the board, that's a guy that needs to be gone.
So, Walter Nolan still being here is pretty interesting for the Saints. They need D-line help pretty universally. This is another spot where I could see. This is the first spot I could see at Tet McMillan.
This is a coin flip right here.
I think he's the type of player that they don't have. So I feel like he could potentially add value in the wide receiver room, but I still think it's too early for him.
I think they need to, with how Chris Olave is looking with the concussions and stuff. They need to just get another guy in there. That would be my voice, Teta.
No, I'm with you there on looking at that for Tet. I think I lean more towards the Walter Nolan, and it goes back to the same thing we said with the Jets here, to where Walter Nolan versus Tet McMillan. I like the wide receivers that would be available for them in the second round versus the defensive interior guys if I'm comparing those two positions. Now,
agreed.
I do think they have a major need at corner as well outside of Kool-Aid McKinstry. So Jahdae Barron would also be a very spicy pick in my opinion. And then if we're comparing the three positions, I would take Jahdae Barron because I think the depth at defensive interior and wide receiver is better than what it is at corner.
Yeah, corner's going to fall off pretty heavily.
Over Will Johnson.
So Will
Johnson's like
he's injured
all this
right
stuff
now.
coming out. All this stuff coming out with his knee injury, and they're questioning his overall longevity.
Yeah,
that's scaring so many teams off, and it's scaring me as a Dolphins fan. With all the injury history that we have on our team of our top guys, I don't want any part of Will Johnson. Nothing.
For me, rather have the guy that was working at Amazon.
For me, the only reason I would not take a corner here would be if we could get Trey Amos later, but it honestly isn't going to happen. Like, Trey Amos will be gone. Benjamin Morrison, Maxwell Harrison, Siobhan Ravel will be like the next tier of corner that you're looking at. These are like definitely.
That's not bad.
No, it's just not Jahdae Barron, Trey Amos, and Will Johnson. Will Johnson's number 3 for me in those three, only because of this new news. The injury concern, from a pure prospect, he's probably the best. He's
amazing.
He's probably the best. Corner. But if he doesn't play, or
Benjamin Morrison also, when healthy, like his 2023 tape. Obviously, looking at the grades, not great. But if you just watch the tape from 2023,
the tape.
That dude is an athletic freak and an absolute animal. So, like, Benjamin Morrison being there, okay, that would make a lot of sense. What would the Saints' next pick be? I'm not sure. It's not saying it. But within the top 10 picks of the second round, like I said, yeah, I think it's got to be Jahdae Barron right here. Just go ahead and get the best guy at a position of need and work with the depth that you have with the next two picks.
No, I think that between Malachi Starks and Walter Nolan, I feel like safety falls off pretty heavy as well. I don't know.
Let's see. Let me pull up the
Malachi Starks is one of my favorite prospects, like on the defensive side of the ball. You really have to have a need for him, but he's just so freaking versatile.
With Kevin Byard, and I know Kevin Byard is getting up there in age. He's going into year 10 right now. But they just brought in Kevin Byard. They also have Jaquan Brisker coming into year 4. So to me, like, I don't see safety as like the immediate need.
Yeah.
Yeah, so looking at their defensive line, you've got Gervon Dexter Sr., who they took in round 2 in 2023. They brought in Grady Jarrett this year, but he is another one. He's going into year 11.
Mm-hmm.
Brought in Montez Sweat at edge, and they also brought in Dayo Ayabengo at edge. So
it's their linebackers that carries their defense. They really do need someone in the middle.
And so with Noah Sewell, and yes, they paid Tremaine Edmonds the big money, and they just gave TJ Edwards big money as well. To me, that kind of takes away Jahad Campbell in this spot as much as I would like him. Honestly, like, just looking at it from a standpoint of Ben Johnson being their head coach, I think Tyler Warren.
Really?
I think you give them another offensive weapon with DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. Keenan Allen's most likely not coming back unless things change. They did bring in Olamide Zaccheaus. But, I mean, I don't know how much Ben Johnson's going to be tied to Cole Kmet, and it's not like Cole Kmet's lit the world on fire. I think with Ashton Jeanty being gone, Tyler Warren gives you your best offensive weapon for Ben Johnson.
What do you think, Austin?
I was thinking some Walter Nolan here.
Yeah, I kind of
seems like a Chicago guy.
Like I said, Grady Jarrett's not getting any younger.
Yeah,
so Walter Nolan, I wouldn't be mad at.
I think Tyler Warren's a little bit of a reach just because Colston Loveland is still there. That's like
I don't like Tyler Warren in Chicago.
Nah,
just doesn't seem like a good fit.
I love Walter Nolan here. I think that their D line is old and aging, like you said, and they're gonna need to add some. Plus, like I think that Ben Johnson's gonna add to the trenches more than anything. He's gonna follow the Dan Campbell first round, add to the trenches. Who's the best trench player
He
available?
did it with the O line.
Yeah.
So already, like,
yeah,
so,
the O line
no.
looks sick.
Like I said, I'm not mad at Walter Nolan. I love Walter Nolan. So let him be a top 10 pick right there.
Now we traded back from 3.
We traded back, and with what we have available now to us, looking at the needs here for the Giants, let's see. Tet McMillan, Malachi Stark. So they brought in Javon Holland. They drafted Tyler Nubin last year, so he's going into round 2. I did like Tyler Nubin, so okay, we're all right there. I think corner would be a possibility at this spot. However, like I said, the Will Johnson stuff scares me, so I think you wait for round 2 on that. I still don't think a quarterback is in play here at 11. Like, I still don't think they, we traded back, let's get Shedeur or Jackson Dart. Like, I still don't think that happens. I like their defensive line enough right now to where with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, Kenneth Grant, putting him next to Dexter Lawrence is very intriguing to me.
What do you think about Detroit trading up for Jihad Campbell? Or even taking Jalen Walker?
I don't want to have the Giants trade back again. I don't want to do that to the Giants fans in here. Which, by the way, if y'all are still here with us, we appreciate you. We love you. Subscribe down below. We're giving away jerseys out here. And we're going live tomorrow night. If we hit 100 live viewers tomorrow night on the episode, we will give away a jersey. We're out here just doing stuff for you guys. So help us help you. Now, back to it. So, looking at the overall roster, I think, my personal opinion, because they have Malik Neighbors, I think Tet McMillan would be a good fit for this offense.
Okay, let's hear it.
Theo Johnson, they drafted him last year in round 4. That's not going to stop me from mentioning Tyler Warren for this offense as well. And so, I look at their quarterback room with Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson loves his big-bodied wide receivers. Jameis Winston needs a guy with a large radius to where when he's off target, you can still catch it. That's where
between the two, I would go Tyler Warren. I think that he gives you more versatility. He's a little bit more of like, I can do whatever you need me to do. And with having Neighbors on the outside already, this allows him to kind of eat in the middle of the field.
I actually like that pick a lot, and I feel like he'll fit in that system pretty well.
Not even that, but the way, like, he's so athletic to where Penn State used him often in the Wildcat. So I think Brian Daboll would look at that as, yeah, he's not a player to where I make this pick and my job is instantly saved. But once you see what he can do, that's probably gonna, buy me a little more time. So I like the Tyler Warren pick.
So we've been holding off on picking the number 4 ranked player this whole time, so that Austin.
This is about the range he's been falling here, though.
So that Austin can pick him for his team.
I think he complements CD very well. It allows CD to continue working in the slot where he's so dominant at.
And it's too early for Donovan or like another edge player. Obviously, you're not going to take a guard, and then running back. I think that you took running back round 2, round 3.
So the options I would like to go Tet here, but the other option would be to trade back to like 18, 19, 20 and try to get a Marion. That's the two options I'd like to go if it was handed to me.
So 19 is here. Tampa Bay's been seen getting Tet McMillan a lot in mocks.
So
kind of like going with that Mike Evans type.
But he's not going to make it much farther than this. But yeah, giving it to the 19th, I could see that.
For me personally, just looking at the roster, I like in this spot, Kenneth Grant would make sense. They have the defensive interior need. Jihad Campbell would make a lot of sense. They have the need for an extra pass rusher and a linebacker. Them bringing in Kenneth Murray Jr. and I know they brought in another linebacker. Now it's completely placed, but that's not going to stop me from taking Jihad Campbell. I think he's an absolute beast. And on the offensive side, if it's not Tet, I would look at Kelvin Banks. Because that offensive line, especially with Zach Martin retiring, is going to need some help. So for me, it's between Jahad Campbell, Kelvin Banks Jr., or Tet McMillan, and because outside of CD, you got nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I would go.
McMillan probably
if we
makes
stayed.
the most sense.
He's the better.
And we can't have him fall any farther.
Prospect on the board at this point, and he does help them out right away. Easiest pick of the draft so far, Malachi Starks. Come on down.
Well, Luther Burden is looking real pretty for y'all now.
I am
Luther
with
Burden
you on that. With Jahdae Barron being gone, I am with you on that. And yeah, with Tyreek still currently on the roster, I'm not going to say Luther Burden is going to be a
Luther Burden's got more holes in his game than any other player that's potentially going in the first round. Yes, he's an athlete, but like he's not a first round wide receiver. He's not. I'm sorry.
Shots at Luther.
And so for the Dolphins here, it is either Malachi Starks or Kelvin Banks Jr. With Armstead retiring, zero faith in Eichenberg.
Kelvin Banks
Austin
over
Jackson
Josh Simmons too.
Is still if we knew Josh Simmons was fully healthy, like everybody was fully confident on the medicals,
this is the
it
one with
would
the lower
be Josh
back,
Simmons.
right?
The dude is amazing.
Yeah.
He's got the lower back issue.
Yeah. So, but Kelvin Banks, I think he's able in this scheme. He's able to play tackle or guard for you, depending on how you feel, how the team feels about Patrick Paul, who was a second-round pick. But even then, like I just look at this DB
So Steelers are a potential trade-up target at 21, and they have safety as one of their top needs. So them trading up to 20 to 13 right here.
I don't think Malachi Starks. I love him, but I don't think he's a player you would trade up for. In this spot, I could see.
Oh my God, this guy is versatility as a defensive
the Broncos. Back. I could see the Broncos or the Chargers trading up for Colston Loveland now that Tyler Warren is off the board. I don't see anybody trading up for Luther Burden.
He falls 5 more spots.
Not Ezaraku. Yeah, so I mean, I love Malachi Starks, but I also think for teams like I don't think the Colts take him. I don't think the Steelers would be the next team needing a safety at 21. So for all purposes, they would feel pretty comfortable about if he makes it past Miami, he's going to fall to them. If that's where they're wanting to go.
I think as a prospect, he's way better than 21 though.
But for the Dolphins, and the more I look at this lineup and this roster, and I just keep looking at this DB core without Jalen Ramsey in it, it's got to be Malachi Starks. Like, just get the best DB on the board right now.
Yeah. I want to go Kelvin Banks, but I don't want to go Kelvin Banks with all of this talent that's here, especially like in the second round, we are going to be able to get a tackle. Like,
you're looking at maybe Donovan Jackson, who can give you guard play. Tyler Booker, who is a guard. Tate Ratledge later in the draft. Arion Tate Ursery at tackle. Like, there is going to be offensive line available. The safety class is probably one of the weakest positions.
And Wyatt Millum as well, second, third round. Like, there's definitely
there's options.
Yeah. So Colts on the clock. We've already taken Tyler Warren from them. I think that they go Colston Loveland. I think that they take the best pass catching tight end in the draft. Other things would be the Jahad Campbell would make sense.
That Jahad Campbell is where I was gonna say.
Okay,
like that's what I was looking at.
Let's
with
make it
me
easy.
Not liking the corners on the board. I could see Colston Loveland, but I mean, I know Colts fans are tired of seeing a tight end mocked to him in round 1 all the time. So, yeah, we're going to give him Jahad Campbell, and we're going to roll with it.
Falcons on the clock.
I think they go edge.
Donovan Ezaraku is a perfect fit for them.
Yep.
Like, we're sorry, Falcons fans, not spending a lot of time on that, but I think everyone in the world knows it's edge. If Jahad Campbell was here for them, that would have been my pick if we didn't take him a pick sooner.
beautiful pick there.
Honestly, those picks could be swapped as well. Like Donovan going a pick early and Jihad going a pick after. Like either of those, they're two big needs for both teams. Corners a need. I think Will Johnson could potentially go here. I don't think that that's a smart decision necessarily. We need more information on the injury. I know Austin hates hearing this about his boy.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Now, I do think this is starting around the Will Johnson range.
Yeah.
Like, depending on how you do feel about him, to me, he is going to go in the first round. Like, he's going to, just because you will get that 5th year. So if you are nervous about his health, you at least give yourself some time to, ease him into things. I think Will Johnson would be a great pick for him here at 16. They need a guard, but I don't see a guard very high here on the board. Kenneth Grant would also make some sense for them.
That was the other one I was looking at.
Let him learn under Calais Campbell. Let me pull up their roster real quick. Take a look. Arizona Cardinals lineup.
Yeah, I would go Kenneth Grant here. That's a big boy.
They need a lot of help at D-line. And, I mean, they do need help at corner as well. But, yeah, I mean, to me, Kenneth Grant's a beast.
Shake when he walks on it.
And for him to be able to learn under Calais Campbell over there, too, it's hard to pass that up.
Now, whenever we did the Bengals 7-round mock, we were pretty insistent on they need to look at their defense. They can't give up 40 points a game and have to put up 50 to win games. That's just not going to happen. Now, they don't have corner as like one of their big needs. They have it more on the other two levels of D-line, and James Pierce Jr. is an absolute freaking just so athletic.
We don't know what's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson, and if anything, it gives them insurance on somebody like that. Where you're hovering right there, I do like Jalen Walker in this spot a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I think Jalen Walker, he honestly might end up going higher than 17.
Yep.
But Jalen Walker's a guy that we've talked about a lot, to where he is listed as a linebacker, an off-ball linebacker. But when we saw him get to play more of that edge role, the guy was an animal. So to me, he would make a lot of sense as well, because he gives you that versatility on your defense.
It could be very similar to a Parsons situation where he starts off ball, but then just transitions into hand in the dirt type of a player. The more that they see him do it. But yeah, I like
it
Jalen
also
Walker
very well
a lot.
could be a spot for Kelvin Banks. Like, you've got to be able to keep Joe Burrow off his ass and keep him upright. But man, I keep going back to, like we said, Joe Burrow cannot have to score 35 points a game just to stay in the game.
Yeah. Jalen Walker is also the best defensive prospect still on the board. James Pierce Jr., we've talked about him at length. He has some holes in his game. He plays a little bit too fast. Jalen Walker is a very rounded type of a player.
I like it.
Seattle center, guard, edge are their big needs.
And receiver, Emeka Ibuka, pair him up with Jackson Smith-Njigba.
See, because they
slice
got
and
Cooper
dice all
Kupp,
day.
I think that immediately
Really
took away a
slice all-
receiver in the first round for them.
Okay.
I think for them, to me, and I know Seahawks fans have seen it mocked a lot, it would be Gray Zabel, because he's ready to come in to start for you day one at either position. However, Kelvin Banks still being on the board here, that's my pick. I think that value is absolutely insane for them right here at 18. I think he's the same. He can come in and start for you day one. He's most likely not going to be on the board for you here at this pick. It's just how everything has fallen for us. So I think it would be Kelvin Banks. You just turn in the card and you build that O-line.
So are we agreeing that the slide on Will Johnson ends here?
Yes.
In Tampa Bay?
100%.
It would have been, and I'll say, because Campbell, Ezraku, and we took Jalen Walker, all of them off of the board. Yeah, like I'm looking, there's no Kenneth Grant on the board for us here. James Pierce Jr., no, I think you have more of the need along the actual D line versus just a straight pass rusher. So yeah, the way the board's sitting for us right now, I think the Will Johnson slide has to stop.
And then I think the second easiest pick of the draft so far, Amarian Hampton, come on down. That or Colson Loveland. Honestly, I'd rather Colson Loveland.
I think they do draft a tight end fairly early within the first 2 days of this draft.
I think that Colson Loveland,
they signed Evan Ingram to a 2-year deal.
Bro, when you put
he's
Amarian Hampton and
I think Hampton
Colston Loveland next to each other,
way too valuable to an offense to pass on versus Colson Loveland.
I just
when
think
you look at how Sean Payton has liked to use his running backs.
That's a good point.
I think back to the days when he had Mark Ingram and Pierre Thomas.
Okay.
And to me, the way he used both of them, he gets one guy that is like those two had a baby.
My only argument against it is Colson Loveland and Jimmy Graham. It seems like that match made in heaven type of a player.
To me, that's where I think Elijah Arroyo in round 2 would be more along those lines, or a Harold Fannin Jr., like a chess piece.
I'm a Colston fan, and I'm surprised he's a first-round pick.
I mean,
I'm not surprised he's a first-round pick. That dude's a freaking animal, bro.
Yeah, I'm surprised Michael Mayer was a first-round pick when you look at these prospects and like the athleticism that they give you.
I will not stand for Michael Mayer.
I know he was your favorite.
I will not stand for it.
He was definitely the most like decent at every single thing you need him to do.
He had
but he doesn't
unicorn
excel
at tight end get drafted and play above him with Brock Bowers.
I mean, he didn't do much his rookie year.
You know what? If Michael Mayer was wearing a Dolphins jersey, you'd be wearing that jersey right now.
Running back a need.
This is where it gets interesting for me, though.
Shedeur Sanders.
They don't have a quarterback, and even if they do, Aaron Rodgers just dragging them along. I think he's still waiting on the Vikings to figure out how their draft goes and how they feel about their team. Man, I look at for everything everybody has said about Shedeur, he's not really worth the first round pick. He's a second round grade. He's a quarterback, so you got to throw some of that out the window. Second round quarterbacks typically do not pan out very often, and if they do, those are the outliers. So yes, while Jalen Milroe or Will Howard or Jackson Dart in the second round would be awesome, I don't know. I think at 21 here, him still being on the board, you don't have a better player than him at that position on your roster. I think it's got to be.
You don't have a lot of better.
The most
players.
accurate quarterback in college football last year.
You don't have a lot of players that are available that are just like, oh, we have to draft this guy.
Well, and if there's one coach I would want to try to, however you feel about Shedeur, his personality, any of that.
Tomlin.
There's one coach I would feel comfortable about reining that in a little bit.
Yeah.
It's Tomlin. That man had winning seasons with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, and as for good of players as they are, we've seen they're nuts.
Well, that's after the fact.
Well, that's after they left Pittsburgh, we found out these guys are crazy. How did Tomlin do it? So, I like Shedeur. Let's go ahead and get the Steelers the quarterback.
I can stop bringing up Colson Loveland now?
Yeah, I think this is where he stops. Absolutely. Like Harbaugh, his Michigan guy, has the need at tight end. He knows what the cut of his jib. Like I think it's got to be Colson Loveland. Guys, we're at pick 23 for the Packers here. If you're still with us, we love you. We appreciate you. Smash that subscribe down below. Hang out with us tomorrow night when we go live. Packers at 23. What are we looking at here for them?
So I like James Pierce and I like Emeka Egbuka both as huge prospects here.
Yeah.
I already said my piece on Luther. I think that he should fall later. He's got too many holes to fill.
I think it would be James here. To be honest, with the way that the Packers draft defensive players lately,
they don't take wide receivers in the first round. They don't do it.
They don't, and I understand they don't, and I know they typically.
I mean, if they wouldn't do it for Aaron, are they going to do it for Jordan? Whenever they think that they have,
they're not going to do it for Luther. Or
I look at it as take away the fact that Josh Jacobs came out and said we need a number one guy, like we need a wide receiver. Take that factor away. Christian Watson is not going to be available for you until the end of the season, coming back from his ACL tear.
Yep.
Another injury for Christian Watson. Jalen Reed is awesome, but he's being shown more as a gadget player when they actually decide to use him. As a Jalen Reed dynasty fantasy owner, very frustrating. He'll give you 30 points and then 6 straight weeks of 6. Romeo Doubs, love the guy. Not seeing the consistency I want to see out of him. Dontavian Wicks, when he actually catches the ball, is effective, but you can't be my number 4 wide receiver and lead the league in drop percentage. That just can't happen. So Emeka Egbuka, while physically he's not your typical, this guy is my number 1 guy, I see a lot of Larry Fitzgerald in Emeka Egbuka's game. And so for me, I would love that pick for them here.
He is
Get
the
that guy.
ideal
He's going
size.
to be a leader in that room. His IQ at his age is amazing as for the football field. I love Emeka Egbuka at this spot.
Yeah. I mean, he's my favorite wide receiver prospect. I don't think that he's the number 1, but he's my favorite to watch.
Yep.
I think that's easy. So we've got Minnesota on the clock.
You say it's easy, but the Packers don't draft.
They don't, and they're not going to take Emeka Egbuka. They're going to trade back or draft an edge that we don't even know about.
And Vikings fans, I hate to do this to you, and I it always gets brought up in other mock drafts, and I know you guys hate it, but you only have 4 picks in this draft. And you need more picks.
All right, so best
player a team that has a need at quarterback that would probably be okay with trading up to draft Jackson Dart, who also gained an extra 2nd-round pick by already trading back in this draft. The New York Giants trade back up into the 1st round here to pick 24. You trade the 2nd-round pick that you just got or your own 2nd-round pick because it is earlier. You come up, you get Jackson Dart. Are they not?
And they're just not interested in the pick, is all that they're saying. That the Giants don't want to trade up. We can force it, but
yeah, we're gonna force it because the Giants are idiots. All right, so the Giants would trade 34, the Vikings would trade 24, and then I think the Giants would also probably have to give up, I'd say 99.
You don't think they'd have to give up 43?
No, they wouldn't have to give up both. You're not giving up both 2nd-round picks to come up there and do that.
That doesn't seem like you're getting very much value.
Yeah, I think that maybe if they gave up 65.
Yeah, that's more doable.
All right, 34, 65, and we'll say a round 3 for next year. And we're just going to force this trade.
And then we're going to draft your boy Jackson Dart.
Yes, sir.
That we all agree Jackson Dart's the 3rd best quarterback. I honestly could have. I wouldn't have been
second best.
I wouldn't have been
unhappy
with him going to Pittsburgh. Straight
up.
I
had Jackson Dart as my 2nd best quarterback.
Yeah, so. I think that Pittsburgh probably gets Shedeur because of all the things you said with Tomlin being able to rear him in. Austin keeps talking about how accurate he is, but I love some Jackson Dart. I think that he's a great prospect, and he can.
And so when you look at what we've done here for the Giants, we were able to trade back, pick up extra picks, take Tyler Warren, and then trade back up in and take Jackson Dart. And all of a sudden, those guys, plus how Tyrone Tracy looked last year and Malik Neighbors,
they've got a pretty
your
good
offense looks completely different.
Now, they still need a little bit of offensive line help, but they're picking again at 43. So there you go. Take your tackle then. Houston's on the clock. I think Luther Burden and why can't I think of his name?
I think it's Josh Simmons or Gray Zabel.
Yeah, I was going to say Luther Burden looks too much like
so
who's their little slot
Tank
wide
Dell.
receiver? Too much like Tank Dell. And Tank Dell's honestly a little bit more athletic and a little bit more separation. Gives you everything that you need. So Josh Simmons or Gray Zabel. Josh Simmons is dealing with that injury. I think that Gray Zabel.
Yeah, I lean Gray in this spot just because he can give you ability at tackle, guard, and center. Yep. And they could use all of those. Like when you see a
Amos.
team's needs just listed as O-line, like not a specific O-line position, just O-line, you've got problems.
Yeah. Tight end, tackle, linebacker, or Trey Amos. And we've talked about Trey Amos a lot. We were always surprised how often he was falling to us in like the mid to late second round for teams because of how much of a great prospect he is.
Third best cornerback on the board. I mean,
and it's a
good
huge
value
need
there.
for them.
He also fits their scheme very well. So like that pick would make a lot of sense when you look at their lineup at their current corners. Jalen Ramsey is rumored as the Rams being a potential place for him if he were to get traded back over there. But Darius Williams, I mean, okay. They brought in Ahkello Witherspoon, like, okay. So to me, Trey Amos would make a lot of sense here.
Or Cam Scatterboo.
I think their offense looks fine. I think with Kyron Williams and your boy Blake Corum, I don't think they're looking at running back here early. You're just already trying to replace your guy out here.
Just a joke.
So I think their offensive line is good enough to where they could pass on a Josh Simmons right here. I don't see the absolute need at edge at all with Jared Verse and Byron Young for him. So because of that, I think it's Trey Amos.
Trey Amos. Now here is a James Pierce Jr. pick if I've ever seen one. JPJ, come on.
I like that. What do you think, Justin?
Let me pull up the roster real quick just to, because I do like this spot for him right here. We're looking at edge. You've got JPJ, Kyle Van Noy, Tavius Robinson going into year 3. Van Noy's just not getting younger. I think they're okay in DB right now.
And there's really like Benjamin Morrison's our
line is solid, so I don't know if Josh Simmons is a spot here. So it would be between Shamar Stewart, Scourton, or Pierce, just dependent on what your preference is between those edge guys.
I think getting that athletic, just like put him on an island and watch him bend people, James Pierce Jr., especially with the unit that they already have. He's not going to be asked to do everything. He's just going to be able to really seal that edge. And I think if there was a team that was going to develop him in the best possible way, it would be the Ravens.
Now, I do think that the Ravens have a decent O-line and that they could use DB help more. And so I really wouldn't be mad with the Benjamin Morrison pick. That's a stud of a player.
I think with them, Nate Wiggins going into year 2, he had a really solid rookie year. They still got Marlon Humphrey out there. I'm with you, but I don't see the immediate need at corner to where Benjamin Morrison, wide receiver. Okay, you got DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, but this offense doesn't really call for a dominant number 1 wide receiver to where I don't think Matthew Golden would be the guy here.
Yeah.
So
I like Jay.
I think Jay Pierce is. I'm with you. I think with his athletic skill set, he can just come in and be an immediate weapon off the edge for you.
And then Nick Scourton, come on,
Lions.
Down.
Yeah, I think
Nick
Scourton would make a lot of sense.
Pretty sure there's nobody better than him right now.
I think Matthew Golden could be interesting, but I don't.
No, I could honestly see that.
I think they already have Jameson, and Matthew Golden plays a lot of that same role.
Jameson they can always use weapons.
Or I would be with Scourton or Mykel Williams. And I think I say Mykel Williams because he does give you more versatility than Scourton does.
You just skipped right over it, my boy, Shamar Stewart. Okay. I see how it is. Shamar Stewart's a freaking fridge. Nick Scourton is a double wide trailer.
Yeah, I like Scourton.
That moves at a 4.4 speed.
He's got a decent amount of
he crushed versatility. The combine.
Yeah, I think he's the pick.
Scourton it is.
Washington on the board. Now this could be an interesting place for Mykel Williams or Shamar Stewart as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going
It's
to
a
throw
bit
something crazy at you. Matthew Golden.
okay.
With them getting Debo and having Terry Mack, they obviously don't have the need at wide receiver. But with the way that offense operated last year, you insert Matthew Golden into that offense, and it's just fireworks. Now, from a team building standpoint, no, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, you clearly have the needs on the defensive side to where Shamar Stewart, Mykel Williams makes a lot of sense here. Benjamin Morrison would make a ton of sense here. You know, if the health stuff pans out,
Yeah.
I would love Benjamin Morrison
I
in
kind
this
of
spot.
want to go Benjamin Morrison just because they need the pass rush is definitely a big need, but they had some pass rush last year with some of the guys that they were getting. I think Benjamin Morrison might fill a lot more holes for them.
Dietrich Wise, Dorrance Armstrong, like really their whole defensive line, like pass rushers, D line, all need some work. So to me, that's kind of okay. Let's fill that in as we go. They did bring in Marshawn Lattimore towards the end of the year last year, so they've got him. They did draft Mike Sanderstill last year.
That's right.
They have Emmanuel Forbes, who they drafted a couple years ago, which I'm not sold on him. I do think he's replaceable. So that's where, looking at just their defense, I would lean more towards the Mykel Williams or Shamar Stewart. And I think probably more Shamar just because of the versatility on that D line he would give you.
Okay.
Plug and play.
Bills are on the clock. Edge, linebacker, corner.
We just took someone they might have.
Yeah, I think for the Bills, because we just took Shamar, I think it's Mykel Williams or Benjamin Morrison.
Yep, same exact thing.
Who do they have totally on their defensive line?
They need hope.
I feel like they just drafted somebody in the last couple of years.
Yeah, so defensive line right now, they've got Daquan Jones, who's going into year 11 or 12. So on the defensive interior, they got Ed Oliver. They're not replacing him on the interior. Greg Rousseau at edge, who's going into year 5.
Yep.
And they did just bring in Joey Bosa as well.
Yeah, so then I think Benjamin Morrison makes more sense.
I like that.
Yep.
Guard, tackle, defensive line in general. So this could be the Mykel Williams.
I think it would be Josh Simmons.
Over Josh Connerly?
Oh. No, I would take Connerly.
Now, Connerly would takes away any of the injury worries that you would have with Simmons. But at this point, at the bottom of the first, I just watching them when they're actually on the field playing, Josh Simmons at offensive tackle is an athletic freak.
Okay.
So it is the injury stuff that is going to worry you. So looking at their roster, let's see. They've got Jalen Moore, 5th round pick a few years ago, going into year 5 for him at left tackle. Jawan Taylor, they got from Jacksonville. He's just completely left everything to be desired in his years in the league. And they do have the needs on the interior O-line as well. So looking at that versus looking at their defense, and especially how their defense plays with Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
And like the last few years, that defense has just been firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, you really have to pick up on the offensive line.
So, yeah, I'll let y'all make the decision between Simmons or Connerly because I'm good with both. But I think that's where they're leaning is offensive line.
I think that Simmons, for the future, right? Like
Simmons is more like a hometown kid for him.
Yeah.
Closer.
Now, you know what we just did, right? We just opened up for Howie Roseman to get another fucking player from Georgia at an absolute steal at the end of the draft.
And they have the need.
So, like, I think we ended off real simple, real easy.
I really do. Like, I don't want to do it, but I do because
that's exactly what he's going to do.
He's a hell of a player. And, yeah, at 32, you're absolutely getting a steal.
Yep.
God damn it.
Every time. Every time.
Yeah, they're just going to get another Georgia guy out here. Guys,
that was beautiful.
We're less than 24 hours away at the time of this recording ending right now. We appreciate you being here with us. We're going live tomorrow night when the draft starts, so that way we can hang out with you guys, talk about the picks as they're made. Overall, just chill vibes for everyone. TulsiRoseTea.com is the sponsor. Subscribe down below. We love you guys. Peace out.
Doses.
So close, guys. We're so close.